Somebody managed to make top 16 at a 508-man regional with stun. We have some Dinomorphia action for you, and these Tenpai builds are getting exciting. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So this is the legendary 15th place out of 508-man regional. I'm happy to get the chance to look at this and analyze this today, because finishing 7-2 was no massively easy feat out here. So a couple of the matchups for this was Ryziel Bysteel 1-2-0, lost 0-2 to Sky Striker. Yeah, I don't really blame that. That's a hard matchup no matter what. And also, you ran into a Sky Striker at the 1-0. Okay. We also had Ryziel Bysteel with Ritual Beast. We'll beat both of those. Ryziel Bysteel beat both of those. Labyrinth 2-0'd. Malice Bysteel, and then they lost to Malice on the last round, or else this deck would have topped, which is incredibly interesting. General notes for this: they won 4 or 5 dice rolls, lost game 1 in 3 of those matches, but still managed to win. Morganites and Super Polys and Solemn Strikes overperformed, especially Succumbing Song Morganite, so the search time tearing, which is really good. Also unlocked dead cards going first, like Evenly or a second Dogmatica Punishment. Clockwork Knight was also very insane. We'll talk about that here in a second. Wished one time that it was a second Moon Mirror, though. That's interesting. And then Golgonda, right here, was one of the best cards they could have had. Chaos Angel did not come up, sadly, and should be replaced with Crazy Box to have a big beater under Skill Dream. But the idea behind Chaos Angel was super poly the board when Garua, so also summon Ecclesia, and yeah, Garua, and make Chaos Angel to have further removal and protection for Packy and that. I wanted a second synchro target for Slayer. Side deck was perfect and would not change anything. So, things to talk about here. So, yes, we are using Clockwork Knight as an anti-meta card, which I really like this concept a lot. You've got to understand the main reason why you're able to, like, kind of take some stupid advantage of things is by deploying the Clockwork Knight, you basically convert everything on the field to machine, which puts your opponent into this really bad position of, oh, hey, like, I need these specific monsters on the field to be able to, be able to play the game. And what happens when your monster that requires a Cyberse monster, or your Fiendsmith monster requires a Fiend in order to get off the ground to play? You can't do that, and that's where the funny ha 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 starts to come in. Now, a Succumbing Song Morganite in here as a 1-up. Now, basically for the rest of this duel, you can't activate monster effects in the hand. You get 2 attacks on monster during each battle phase, and if your monster battles, you're getting double battle damage. So, you're getting 200 off of the Moon Mirror Shield, which is fine. But you can also banish this card from your graveyard to add a Morganite card from your deck to your hand, and place a card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So this actually lets you search for the time-tearing Morganite to be able to set that up. Now, it can be a little bit rough out here, considering, this isn't a straight free cost. You got to tuck back a resource. And as long as you can get this combination of things going here, it's also really good. Also, let's kind of call it what it is in here. We've kind of learned that getting the draw 2 and getting the 2 normal summons, if there's an odd case where you open up the Falsidine and the Barrier Statue, you can roll this on out, and now your opponent has to deal with even worse things than they were already dealing with, which I feel like this is good. Now, the Golgonda down here, this is where things actually have been making stun a lot more viable as of late. It's once per turn, if a card or cards you control be destroyed by battle card effect, send a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck. So, we got 3 right here. We got 2 more right here. Also, the cool thing with the Titanic-clad is, we got the free interaction of beam off the Ecclesia out here. So, you're getting that free little search off of this to load into the punishment to do your thing. As long as you kind of have the revolving door of punishments, I feel like, against your opponent, this deck shouldn't necessarily have an issue with trying to clear things up, which, that's just kind of how this is. Also, surprisingly enough, this evenly matched, being able to use this coming Morganite, like they said here in the notes, to, tug this on back into the deck, go get this, kind of get things going. The only real things that I'm really scared about playing a deck like this is this does feel a little bit fragile. Going second does leave a little bit to be desired. Obviously, the argument for the second Moon Mirror Shield does come up. I actually understand that. Yeah, this is good for what it needs to do in certain aspects. It's a field conversion. It is a walking, talking floodgate, and it does actually matter for this. Also, making your fossil dyna 1700 is actually kind of scary. Other cool, interesting things to note down here. The Ultimate Slayer target of the Toad to put back. The Code Breaker Swordsman, that's interesting. And, of course, Bucephalus for, interactivity. And then, of course, Malong and Chaos Angel. Having the second target for this, I understand the logic with this. There's nothing wrong with this. And, of course, this was going to be your big super poly guy here. Also, yeah, I'm not surprised to know that came up, but you're playing anti-meta. It's cool that, this deck has enough resources and enough, space for you to even get the chance to experiment around with that, what I would call dead space with this deck, which is really nice. Also, 2 Solemn Strike looking absolutely fine in here. I don't necessarily want to bulk down too much on these, especially considering, the judgments, and there might be a time where you're just going to have to take some damage off of these guys. It happens every once in a while, but as long as you've got the Golgonda up in one of these, also the fact that we don't have Jalgan anymore, so this is going to be our new Floodgate monster, is fine. All right, next up here, we have the power of Dinomorphia. This is actually kind of cool. So we're playing the Grand Horn of Heaven down here. So during your opponent's main phase, when they would special summon a monsters, negate that summon, and if you do destroy that monster, then your opponent draws a card, and then the main phase ends. Now keep in mind that this does not say main phase 1 restricted. You can do this in main phase 2, kick your opponent to the end phase, and it is not restricted to once per turn. So you can technically have a revolving door of double Grand Horn of Heaven to effectively end your opponent's entire turn, which is really funny, actually, that you can actually do that. Now, we have 5 main deck monsters here, which are fine. Honestly, the Misk can come up, I believe, but I'm not really too worried about that. I think what we've got going on here is fine. Also, you do get to see how good Iron Thunder is. This is 2 lists now tonight that you've seen that Iron Thunder is actually doing its thing. And, of course, we are doing the Soul of the Supreme King in here. Being able to roll the 4K lines here seems pretty good. In case we need to split apart our dragon, we're just doing the Clear Wing here, which I don't know if I like that. Oh, yeah, we are also doing the Brave Eyes down here, too. So you've got 2 split apart targets to kind of roll on up and do your thing with. But I'm actually kind of surprised to see that anti-meta is actually performing right now. Genuinely, I look at a lot of this stuff. We don't really ever see these decks doing too well at all, which is kind of a shame, but the meta kind of feels like it's solidified itself enough right now that we can kind of see this shift around and see where things are kind of needing to go in order to play some of these oddball decks, which once again, hey, if stun can actually perform on 1 to 2 degrees here, that's actually really cool. And this last list here, This caught my eye because I've heard people out here, they're going, hey, we're playing Tenpai right now. I was like, okay, sure, we understand that, but they're going with the Fiendsmith stuff in here. So I was kind of like, all right, so what are we doing? What are these builds that we've got to make these choices on in here in order to, make these builds work? Well, we are relying on the Fiendsmith stuff to be that strong backing. You've also got the Bysteals to bump around things as you need to. And then, of course, the Tenpai stuff's going to be your OTK line. And, of course, you are playing the extra Bysteel DLC package in here because Branded Regained is kind of a little ignorant card when it does come up. Also, we actually get to play the Lina in here. The fact that, this deck is just kind of doing one-ofs in the Tenpai line just kind of proves that, while this stuff is here, it's not going to be the big push to kind of clear out the game. The point is, hey, we're able to do this, but also at the same time, it's not going to make or really break us too much to not see this line, but that is actually kind of cool to see. I know it's you're going from stun anti-meta, shifting over here to looking at oh boy, another Fiendsmith deck with what's our other little package that we're going to throw in here. Well, that is exactly what you're seeing here. So Yeah, it is a time for sure. So, what do you guys think about the metagame challengers out here and what ideas people are actually bringing to the table? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.